Resource Center, and when it comes to estate planning, there's a term you hear a lot, Bruce, spend down. Kind of complicated. In my opinion, you almost have to look into the future to be able to do this. What does it mean, spend down?
Spend down is the number you have to get down to in assets before you qualify for Medicaid when you're on your way to long-term care.
Right.
So in your estate, if you own a home, okay. If you own a car, okay. If you have a bank account, okay. Now, all of your different things are affected differently by spend down. So we cover that extensively in our meetings that we do every month on planning.
Sure.
And so the information is going to be different for every person depending on their situation. But spend down refers to what you have to hit as far as an asset figure in order to qualify for Medicaid.
Right, so you take all of these assets that you have, and a few years prior to you figuring you might need this long-term care, you move the money here, you spend it down in a way that will enable you to qualify for Medicaid, because, newsflash, Medicare does not pay for you to go into a nursing home.
That's right. They have 100 days worth of coverage if you're showing improvement in a rehabilitation facility. And so people have the misconception that their Medicare is going to cover them in long-term care, and it does not. It is more health-related, not care-related.
Right.
So it's a big misconception that people have.
And don't you think people also think, I've never needed Medicaid. Why would I need Medicaid now? Why would I want Medicaid now?
Right.
Is that something people kind of have to overcome in their own mind?
Right, and some people, when they think about, they're worried about spend down, but they've got so many assets, they will never qualify for Medicaid because they have too much assets. So they're worried about something that's never going to apply to them. So we try to clarify that in our meetings, and we try to get people the correct information. But like I said, everyone is different. So your concerns may or may not be my concerns with my family.
Exactly.
So I think that there has to be a lot of clarification when you're in that planning process.
Okay, clarify this for me. What is Medicaid recovery?
So Medicaid recovery is after you're gone, and let's say you did qualify for Medicaid. Now, maybe a couple years later, you've passed on. And so Medicaid has a bill that they paid for you. Well, in the spend down process, you were allowed to retain a home. You were allowed to retain a vehicle. So if your children inherit your home, let's just use that as the example, you can have up to $500,000 of equity in your home without spending it down. So now you're gone, your children inherit your home, but your bill at Medicaid was $100,000, so your children would have to mortgage or sell the home in order to provide Medicaid their money back through Medicaid recovery in Missouri, okay? So their inherited asset, whatever that is, would either all of it or part of it would have to go back to the state to reimburse them for your cost of care for not only you, but maybe your husband predeceased you by a couple of years, his Medicaid also, if he had Medicaid cost. So upon the second death, that bill becomes due out of inherited assets. Now, if there was nothing left for your children to inherit and there was no estate to speak of, then it's a wash. But if they inherited something that qualified through the spend down, then they're going to have to reimburse Medicaid the cost of your care. So a lot of people are not aware of that. We cover a lot of these details in our estate planning meetings that we do on a monthly basis. And you can go to our website, resourcecenterinc.com, or you can call the office, 882-1800, and I'll be glad that staff will get you familiar with the next date coming up and what's available. But in that process, we're going to have to navigate what's going to apply to you, what's not, what's going to be important to you and your family, and what's not. A lot of that information we cover in the workshop. There is the ability to do different types of trust documentation to offset the cost of your assets versus care costs. So irrevocable type planning, but you have to understand the ins and outs of that. So again, long-term care type planning, estate type planning, all this stuff takes a little thought, and it's different for everybody. So our meetings try to cover a lot of the basics so we can help you get pointed in the right direction.
Yeah, and those meetings are free. Why wouldn't you learn
Right.
all about this? So check their Facebook page, check their website, come see Bruce Porter at the Resource Center.